Hey everyone, today we are talking about safety myths that sound right but can actually put you in danger.
Common safety advice sounds smart, right until it quietly makes everything worse. 1. The wait 24 hours before reporting a missing person. Myth crime shows have done incredible damage to common sense. For decades, movies and TV dramas convinced people that you must wait 24 hours before reporting someone missing. It's treated like some sacred law of the universe, like gravity or the IRS. The logic sounds suspiciously official. Police can't act until a person has been gone long enough to prove they're actually missing. So, families panic quietly, watching the clock like they're waiting for a pizza delivery instead of a potential emergency. Here's the reality. There is no 24-hour rule. None. If someone disappears and the situation feels wrong, police want to know immediately. The first hours are often the most critical for finding a missing person. Unfortunately, thanks to decades of TV drama, people hesitate. They wait. They second-guess themselves. They wonder if they're overreacting. Meanwhile, investigators are silently screaming at the television. Because in real life, waiting 24 hours before reporting a disappearance isn't following a rule. It's giving danger a 24-hour head start. 2. If a shark attacks, punch it in the nose. Somewhere along the way, humanity decided the best response to a 1,000-pound ocean predator with rows of teeth is a well-aimed punch. The advice appears everywhere: survival guides, beach gossip, and that one friend who watches way too many documentaries. The strategy sounds heroic. If a shark attacks, hit it in the nose or eyes to scare it away. In theory, sharks have sensitive snouts, so striking them might startle them. In practice, you're trying to land a boxing combo on an underwater torpedo built entirely out of muscle, cartilage, and evolutionary dominance. Most real shark encounters happen in seconds. Visibility is poor, the water is chaotic, and your brain is busy screaming, "Why did I come into this ocean?" Trying to calmly line up a precision strike on a shark's nose during a surprise attack is like attempting to punch a speeding motorcycle. Experts actually recommend something far less cinematic. Maintain eye contact, keep the shark in view, and slowly back away. Because the punch-it-in-the-nose strategy assumes two things: that you're calm enough to aim, and that the shark is interested in sparring. 3. You should swerve to avoid hitting an animal on the road. This one sounds compassionate, responsible even. You're driving down a dark road when suddenly a deer jumps in front of your car. Instinct screams, "Swerve." After all, nobody wants to hurt an animal. Unfortunately, this reflex has caused countless serious crashes. When drivers jerk the wheel to avoid wildlife, they often send their car into the opposite lane, a ditch, or a tree. And physics, unlike your moral compass, does not negotiate. Insurance data and traffic safety studies consistently show that swerving is often far more dangerous than hitting the animal, especially at highway speeds. Cars flipping, head-on collisions, multi-vehicle pileups, all because someone tried to avoid a deer that would have caused relatively minor damage compared to a high-speed rollover. Safety experts actually recommend something that feels almost heartless. Brake firmly, stay in your lane, and maintain control of the vehicle. It's not about choosing the animal over the driver. It's about recognizing that a 2-ton vehicle suddenly changing direction at 60 miles per hour is basically a physics experiment with terrible consequences. And unfortunately, the laws of momentum care very little about woodland diplomacy. 4. If you get lost, just stay where you are. This is one of those survival tips that sounds incredibly wise, like something carved into a wooden sign at a national park. If you get lost, stay put and wait for rescue. And sometimes that advice is correct. If people know exactly where you are, staying visible and conserving energy can absolutely help rescuers find you. The problem is that most people who get lost never told anyone where they were going in the first place. They went hiking without a map, took a quick walk, wandered off the trail to get a better photo. Suddenly the path disappears, the sun moves, and the forest looks exactly the same in every direction. If no one knows your location, staying put can mean sitting in the wilderness while search teams look miles away. Survival experts recommend something slightly more complicated than simply freezing like a confused statue. Try to retrace your steps to the last known landmark, move toward open areas, or follow downhill paths that often lead to water or roads. because stay where you are only works if someone already knows where that place is. Otherwise, you're just patiently waiting in the wrong spot. 5. Alcohol warms you up in cold weather. This myth has been keeping people dangerously cozy for centuries. You step outside into freezing temperatures, someone hands you a strong drink, and suddenly your body feels warmer. Case closed, right? Not exactly. Alcohol does make you feel warm, but that sensation is basically your body playing a cruel prank on you. When you drink alcohol, your blood vessels widen, bringing warm blood closer to the skin. That creates the comforting feeling of heat. Unfortunately, it also means your body is losing heat much faster. Your core temperature actually drops while your brain insists everything is fine. It's like turning on a fake thermostat that lies about the temperature while the house freezes. This effect has been linked to countless cases of hypothermia, especially when people drink outdoors in cold environments. The warm feeling convinces them they're safe while their body quietly loses heat. So, while that winter whiskey may feel heroic, like you're starring in an old mountain survival movie, your body is doing the exact opposite of warming up. It's slowly cooling down while applauding the illusion. 6. You should put butter on burns. This advice sounds like something your grandmother swears by. Burn your hand on the stove? Grab the butter. Sunburn on your shoulders? Butter. Apparently, the kitchen doubles as an emergency room. The logic seems simple. Butter feels cool and soothing, so it must help the burn heal. Unfortunately, butter works like a heat-trapping blanket. Burns happen because heat damages skin tissue. The last thing you want to do is trap that heat against your skin like you're marinating yourself. Butter seals the burn, preventing heat from escaping and potentially making the damage worse. It can also introduce bacteria into an already injured area. Doctors recommend something far less culinary. Run the burn under cool, not ice-cold water for several minutes. This helps stop the burning process and reduce tissue damage. No seasoning required. Somehow, the butter myth survived generations of family advice and kitchen accidents. Probably because people confuse comfort with treatment, and butter is excellent at comfort, just not when your skin is literally cooking. 7. If someone is choking, give them water. When someone starts choking, panic spreads faster than common sense. Instinct kicks in, and one of the most common reactions is grabbing a glass of water. After all, if food is stuck in the throat, maybe water will just wash it down. Unfortunately, choking usually means the airway is blocked, not just inconveniently crowded. If the object is lodged in the windpipe, adding water is like pouring liquid into a clogged drain that leads directly to the lungs. Instead of solving the problem, it can make breathing even harder. The correct response is the Heimlich maneuver, abdominal thrusts designed to force air from the lungs and push the object out. It's not elegant, and it definitely doesn't look polite at a dinner party, but it works because it uses physics instead of wishful thinking. Water works when food goes down the wrong pipe, but the airway is still open. Choking, however, is a different emergency entirely, and when someone can't breathe, hydration is unfortunately not the solution. 8. Playing dead always saves you during animal attacks. Nature documentaries have created a fascinating survival strategy. If a wild animal attacks, simply play dead. Apparently, predators will politely lose interest and wander away, like they just remembered they left the stove on. This advice actually does work in very specific situations, particularly with certain bear species that attack defensively rather than to hunt. But the internet has simplified this into a universal wildlife strategy. Bear? Play dead. Mountain lion? Play dead. Angry dog? Play dead. Unfortunately, many predators interpret a motionless human not as a deterrent, but as lunch that stopped resisting. Different animals respond to completely different behaviors. Some attacks require making yourself look larger and louder. Others require backing away slowly while maintaining eye contact. And some situations require the deeply underrated survival strategy known as running, like your life depends on it. Playing dead works only in very particular circumstances with very particular animals. Treating it like a universal wildlife cheat code is a little like bringing a single screwdriver to fix every mechanical problem on Earth. Eventually, you're going to run into a situation where the animal prefers its meals pre-tenderized. 9. If a tornado comes, open your windows to equalize pressure. This myth has been floating around since the days when televisions had antennas and weather forecasts involved a guy pointing at a chalkboard. The idea sounds impressively scientific. If a tornado approaches, you should open your windows so the pressure inside the house matches the pressure outside. Otherwise, the house might explode. It feels logical. Air pressure differences can cause damage, so equalizing them should protect the building. Right? Not even close. Modern meteorologists and structural engineers have spent decades explaining that tornado damage is caused primarily by extreme wind forces, not exploding pressure differences. A tornado isn't politely squeezing your house like a soda can. It's ripping it apart with winds that can exceed 200 miles per hour. Opening windows doesn't save the house. It actually makes things worse by allowing powerful winds to rush inside, which increases the chances of the roof lifting off. And once the roof goes, the rest of the house usually follows. Emergency experts recommend the exact opposite priority. Forget the windows and get to a safe interior space, like a basement or small room without windows. Because when a tornado arrives, the biggest danger isn't pressure. It's 200 miles per hour of airborne furniture. 10. Car headlights help you see better in heavy fog. When thick fog rolls in, many drivers instinctively flip on their high beams. It feels like the responsible thing to do. More light equals better visibility. That's how headlights work on a normal road. Fog, however, has its own opinion. Fog is made of tiny water droplets suspended in the air. When bright high-beam headlights hit those droplets, the light scatters and reflects directly back toward the driver. Instead of illuminating the road, the beams create a glowing white wall, like trying to drive through a giant bowl of milk. Ironically, high beams often make visibility much worse. This is why fog lights exist. They sit lower on the vehicle and shine light downward toward the road, reducing the amount of reflection bouncing back into your eyes. Experts recommend using low beams, slowing down, and increasing distance from other vehicles. Because when visibility drops to a few feet, speed becomes the real danger. High beams may feel heroic in the moment, like you're blasting through the fog like a movie stunt driver. But in reality, you're just lighting up the fog so it can blind you better. 11. Rub frostbitten skin to warm it up. Old survival advice often includes this enthusiastic recommendation. If someone has frostbite, rub the frozen area to restore circulation. It sounds practical. When your hands are cold, rubbing them together warms them up. So the same must apply to frostbite. Unfortunately, frostbite isn't just cold skin, it's frozen tissue. When skin freezes, ice crystals form inside the cells. Rubbing frostbitten skin is essentially grinding those crystals through delicate tissue like microscopic shards of glass. Instead of helping circulation, it can cause severe internal damage. Doctors recommend something much gentler, slowly warming the area using warm, not hot water, and protecting the skin from further cold exposure. Sudden heat or friction can worsen the injury dramatically. But the rubbing myth persists because people confuse normal cold hands with frostbite. Cold hands need warmth, frostbite needs careful medical treatment, and rubbing frozen skin is basically the medical equivalent of trying to fix a cracked phone screen with sandpaper. 12. If a car is sinking, wait for it to fill with water before opening the door. This survival myth appears in movies so often that it feels like official protocol. A car falls into water, the doors lock from pressure, and the hero must wait calmly while the cabin fills with water. Only then can the door be opened. It's a dramatic scene, suspenseful, terrifying. It's also terrible advice. Waiting for a car to completely fill with water means waiting while oxygen disappears and panic rises. Most people don't have the breath capacity or calm mindset required for that strategy. Safety experts recommend something much simpler and faster. Unbuckle, open the window, and escape immediately. Electric windows usually work for a short time after the car enters water. That window may be your fastest exit. If the window fails, specialized tools can break the glass. The biggest danger isn't pressure locking the doors, it's hesitation. Because movies make survival look like a slow, dramatic chess match. Real emergencies move much faster. 13. You should always drive through floodwater if the car ahead made it. Flooded roads have a way of tricking people into dangerous decisions. You approach a water-covered street, see another car drive through successfully, and think, well, if they made it, I can too. After all, cars are built for roads. Roads sometimes get wet, no big deal, except floodwater is famously deceptive. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock an adult off their feet. Around 1 foot of water can sweep away many vehicles, especially smaller cars. And drivers rarely know how deep the water actually is. The road underneath might be washed out entirely. The pavement might be gone. The water might be flowing far faster than it appears. Many flood rescues begin the same way. Someone assumed the car ahead proved the route was safe. But water levels change constantly. That other driver may have crossed seconds before the flow intensified. Emergency officials repeat the same simple advice during floods. Turn around, don't drown, because floodwater doesn't care about your confidence. Or the example set by the guy in front of you. 14. If you're caught in lightning, lie flat on the ground. Lightning safety advice has gone through several confusing generations. One particularly stubborn myth suggests that if lightning strikes nearby, the safest move is to lie flat on the ground. The idea sounds reasonable. Lower profile equals less chance of being struck. Unfortunately, lightning has a nasty side effect called ground current. When lightning hits the ground, electricity spreads outward across the surface. The more of your body touching the ground, the more of that current can travel through you. Lying flat actually increases the amount of contact your body has with the ground, which means more electricity has a path through you. Modern safety guidance recommends something very different. Crouch low with your feet together, minimizing ground contact while staying balanced. Better yet, get inside a building or a vehicle as quickly as possible. Because lightning isn't just a bolt from the sky, it's an electrical explosion that spreads across everything nearby. And becoming a human lightning rod is rarely part of anyone's outdoor plans. 15. If you're being followed while driving, and just drive home. This one feels natural. You're driving at night and notice a car behind you making the same turns again and again. The uneasy thought appears, are they following me? Your instinct might be to speed home where you'll be safe. After all, home is familiar. It's secure. It's your territory. But safety experts strongly warn against doing exactly that. Driving home reveals your address to someone who may already have bad intentions. Instead of ending the situation, you've now given the person valuable information about where you live. A much safer move is to head toward a busy, well-lit public place, a gas station, police station, or crowded store parking lot. Places with cameras, lights, and witnesses. If the person is truly following you, they're far less likely to continue when attention is suddenly involved. Predators generally prefer privacy. Your driveway offers the opposite of safety in that situation. Because sometimes the safest place isn't home. It's somewhere full of people watching. 16. A car is safer than a motorcycle, so protective gear matters less on short trips. This myth is sponsored by overconfidence and the phrase, "I'm just going a few blocks." People get into cars for short errands and suddenly decide safety rules are optional. No seatbelt, no proper shoes. Kid half buckled in the back like groceries with opinions. The logic feels harmless. Cars are enclosed, heavy, and full of airbags. Compared to a motorcycle, they seem like a rolling fortress. So, on a quick trip to the gas station or grocery store, people treat safety gear like a formal outfit they only wear for special occasions. Unfortunately, crashes are deeply disrespectful of distance. A huge percentage of collisions happen close to home, on familiar roads, during ordinary trips. That's because familiarity breeds laziness. You stop paying attention. You assume nothing dramatic can happen between your driveway and the pharmacy. Meanwhile, physics is warming up in the parking lot. Seatbelts matter on the short drive. Child restraints matter on the short drive. Proper footwear and alertness matter on the short drive. Because "I'm only going 5 minutes away" has introduced a lot of people to an ambulance. 17. If a fire starts, grab your most important belongings. First house fires trigger a very human instinct. Save the irreplaceable stuff. The photo albums, the laptop, the passport drawer. That box of mysterious family documents everyone keeps but nobody understands. It feels responsible, noble even. You're not panicking. You're prioritizing. Unfortunately, fire spreads with the kind of speed normally reserved for rumors and internet outrage. Smoke can fill a room in minutes, sometimes seconds. Visibility disappears. Breathing becomes difficult. The hallway you thought you had time to cross suddenly looks like the inside of a toaster. Fire safety experts repeat the same advice again and again. Get out first, immediately. Do not stop to collect possessions. Do not go back in. Not for keys, not for your wallet, not for the laptop containing 10 years of tax documents and 17 folders labeled important. Because valuables can be replaced, time cannot. And smoke is especially cruel because it doesn't look dramatic at first. It just quietly removes your options while you're deciding whether to save the good coat. The safest emergency plan is brutally simple. People out, now. Everything else is just flammable clutter with sentimental branding. 18. If you're having a heart attack, coughing hard can save you. Somewhere in the golden age of chain emails and office breakroom folklore, people became obsessed with the idea of cough CPR. The claim goes like this: if you feel a heart attack coming on and you're alone, you can save yourself by coughing repeatedly and forcefully. It sounds wonderfully DIY, like emergency medicine from a hardware store. There is a tiny grain of medical context here. In very specific monitored hospital situations, doctors may instruct a patient with certain abnormal heart rhythms to cough briefly. That narrow scenario then escaped into the wild and became survival advice for the general public. Which is a problem, because a heart attack is not a quirky little hiccup you can reboot with enthusiasm. If someone may be having a heart attack, the correct response is to call emergency services immediately, chew aspirin if appropriate and previously tolerated, unlock the door if possible, and get help fast. Relying on coughs instead of treatment wastes precious time, and time matters enormously during cardiac events. So no, this is not one of those life hacks that secretly doctors hate. It's one of those myths that sounds empowering right up until your heart declines the motivational speech. 19. If a stranger breaks into your home, hiding silently is always the best choice. Movies love the silent hiding strategy. Someone hears glass break downstairs, gasps dramatically, and retreats into a closet while the soundtrack does all the heavy lifting. Sometimes hiding is absolutely the right move. If escape is impossible and confrontation would be more dangerous, creating distance and staying out of sight can save your life. The myth becomes dangerous when people treat silence as the only correct response in every situation. In reality, safety experts emphasize options. Escape if you can, call emergency services, lock or barricade doors, make noise if it helps attract attention, and move toward a safer exit if one exists. Depending on the situation, silent hiding may protect you or trap you. A lot depends on whether the intruder knows your home, whether you have a clear way out, and whether others in the house need help. Blindly following one rule in a chaotic emergency is rarely ideal, because danger is not a board game with one approved strategy. Sometimes silence helps, sometimes a locked bathroom and a shouted warning to neighbors helps more, and sometimes the best survival tool is not bravery, it's flexibility with a phone in your hand. 20. A small kitchen fire can be put out with any liquid nearby. This myth has destroyed a shocking number of dinners and quite a few kitchens. A pan catches fire, flames leap up, and people grab the nearest liquid like they're on a cooking show hosted by panic itself. Water seems like the obvious hero. Fire burns, water stops burning, case closed. Except grease fires operate under entirely different rules. Throwing water onto burning oil is like adding chaos to chaos. The water instantly turns to steam, explosively scattering flaming grease everywhere. What was once a manageable stovetop fire becomes a fiery audition for a home insurance commercial. Other random liquids aren't much better. Juice, milk, soda. None of these are magical anti-fire potions, despite what your frightened brain may improvise at the time. Fire safety guidance is very clear. Turn off the heat if possible, cover the pan with a metal lid or baking sheet, and use a proper fire extinguisher rated for kitchen fires. Do not carry the pan. Do not splash water. Do not get creative, because kitchen fires escalate fast, and the worst moment to experiment is when the spaghetti sauce has entered its arson era. 21. If someone faints, slap them or shake them awake. For some reason, popular culture decided fainting is best handled like a badly performing television remote. Person collapses, crowd gathers, and somebody immediately starts slapping cheeks or shaking shoulders like they're trying to restart the soul. The intention is understandable. Fainting looks dramatic, and people panic. They want a fast response, something active, something that feels useful. Unfortunately, shaking or slapping a person who has fainted can be dangerous, especially if they fell and may have injured their head, neck, or spine on the way down. First aid guidance is much less theatrical. Check responsiveness, make sure the person is breathing, lay them flat if safe, raise their legs if appropriate, loosen tight clothing, and monitor them carefully. If they don't recover quickly, or if there are warning signs like chest pain, seizure activity, or injury, call emergency services immediately. Fainting is not always harmless. Sometimes it's dehydration. Sometimes it's something far more serious. So the goal is not to discipline the unconscious back into consciousness. It's to protect them while figuring out why the body suddenly decided to hit the off switch. 22. You should always pull over under a bridge during a tornado. When a tornado warning hits the highway, panic spreads faster than the storm itself. Drivers look around for anything that looks sturdy, and highway bridges suddenly seem like the perfect shelter. Concrete, massive beams, solid structure. It feels like the closest thing to a bunker you'll find on the road. Unfortunately, meteorologists and emergency responders have spent years begging people to stop doing this. Bridges don't protect you from tornado winds. In fact, they can make the situation far more dangerous. Wind speeds often accelerate through the narrow gaps under bridges, turning them into natural wind tunnels. Instead of shielding you, the structure can actually intensify the storm's force. There's another problem too. Vehicles stopping under bridges create traffic jams, trapping dozens of people in a dangerous location with no way to move. Safety experts recommend leaving the vehicle and seeking low ground away from trees and cars if no proper shelter exists. Because during a tornado, a bridge doesn't become a fortress, it becomes a funnel. And funnels are exactly what tornadoes specialize in. 23. You should drink alcohol after snake bites to calm down. This myth probably started the same way many bad survival ideas begin, with someone holding a bottle and confidence. The logic goes like this: a snake bite is stressful, painful, and terrifying. A little alcohol might calm the nerves and dull the pain while you figure out what to do next. Unfortunately, alcohol is the exact opposite of helpful during venom exposure. Alcohol thins the blood and increases circulation, which can allow venom to spread through the body faster. It also interferes with clear thinking at the exact moment you need to make good decisions. Doctors and wilderness experts recommend something far simpler and far less cinematic. Stay calm, limit movement, keep the bite area immobilized if possible, and get medical help immediately. Do not cut the wound, do not suck out the venom, and definitely do not treat the situation like a cowboy movie. Snake bites are medical emergencies, not campfire storytelling opportunities. And the last thing your bloodstream needs while processing venom is a whiskey chaser. 24. Running zigzag helps you escape dangerous animals. Thanks to decades of cartoons and adventure movies, many people believe the secret to escaping a dangerous animal is running in a zigzag pattern. Apparently, predators become instantly confused when humans move like malfunctioning lawn sprinklers. While zigzag running might help you dodge something thrown by a friend at a picnic, most predators evolved to chase prey far faster than humans can sprint, and they're remarkably good at adjusting direction. Animals like dogs, wolves, or big cats can accelerate quickly and change course effortlessly. A zigzagging human simply looks like prey that's making unpredictable but still very slow movements. Wildlife experts usually recommend very different responses depending on the animal. Stand tall, make yourself look larger, back away slowly, avoid sudden movements, or create noise. Running wildly is rarely the safest choice, because to a predator built for pursuit, zigzagging doesn't look clever. It looks like lunch doing interpretive dance. 25. If a jellyfish stings you, urine will neutralize the venom. Some survival myths refuse to die, and this one has enjoyed decades of beachside fame. Someone gets stung by a jellyfish. Panic spreads across the sand. Then, inevitably, a well-meaning bystander announces the solution with heroic confidence. Don't worry, somebody just needs to pee on it. The theory claims that urine neutralizes jellyfish venom. Unfortunately, science politely disagrees. Urine composition varies widely depending on hydration, diet, and other factors. In many cases, it can actually trigger additional stinging cells, making the pain worse instead of better. Medical recommendations are far less awkward. Rinse the sting with seawater, not fresh water, Carefully remove any tentacles and apply vinegar if available to help deactivate remaining stinging cells. In other words, the beach emergency kit does not require volunteer bladder contributions. Yet somehow, the urine myth has survived for generations, possibly because it combines two things humans never forget: embarrassment and terrible medical advice. 26. Cracking your windows prevents carbon monoxide poisoning in a car. People often believe that leaving a small window open in a running car will keep the air safe. It sounds reasonable. Fresh air comes in, bad air goes out, problem solved. Unfortunately, carbon monoxide does not respect tiny ventilation plans. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas that spreads rapidly in enclosed spaces. Even with windows partially open, dangerous levels can accumulate quickly, especially in garages, snow-blocked exhaust pipes, or parked vehicles with engines running. The gas works silently, binding to red blood cells far more effectively than oxygen does, which means your body slowly loses the ability to carry oxygen while your brain barely notices. Opening a window might make the air feel fresher, but it doesn't reliably reduce carbon monoxide concentration to safe levels. Safety experts emphasize a much stricter rule: never run a car in an enclosed space, even briefly, because carbon monoxide doesn't announce itself. It just quietly replaces the oxygen you need to stay awake. 27. Quicksand will instantly pull you under. Movies have convinced generations of people that quicksand behaves like a hungry monster. One wrong step, and you're immediately sucked underground while dramatic music plays. In reality, quicksand is far less theatrical and far less deadly. Quicksand forms when water saturates loose sand, creating a thick mixture that behaves somewhere between a liquid and a solid. When you step into it, you may sink somewhat, but human bodies are actually less dense than quicksand. That means most people won't sink much deeper than waist level. The real danger isn't being swallowed whole, it's panic. Struggling wildly causes the sand to behave more like a solid, trapping your legs and making movement harder. Calm, slow movements allow water to flow back into the mixture and loosen the sand. In other words, the survival strategy is patience, not dramatic screaming. So quicksand isn't the instant death trap Hollywood promised, but it is an excellent reminder that panic is often the most dangerous part of any situation. So, which safety tip fooled you the longest? Tell me below.